So the controls are actually very straightforward to get this started. We have a couple of, we'll just open this up to show you. We have a couple of 12 volt batteries in series. It gives a 24 volt capability. So some of the systems are 12 volt, some are 24. This is the booster coil. The booster coil is there because the magnetos don't generally produce a reliable start at the speed which the starter motor is capable of cranking over. So we put some boost on so the engine starts. These are the magnetos. The magnetos are actually always live. Again, it's a fail-safe system, so they don't need connecting. They will always produce a spark, which is obviously how you want it. So if any wires get cut or whatever, it's not important. What we have the switches on here is actually to ground them out, to actually ensure that we can stop the engine. We have an oil priming system. We have to do this for about 60 seconds at the start of the day. It ensures when we press that, the oil is pumped around the various parts of the engine up to the camshaft, so it's not starting dry. The fuel pump has a mechanical fuel pump on it, but this fuel pump here again just allows a bit of priming of the fuel pump. Obviously we've got an push engine button start there. Sorry, that's the fuel pump prime, and here's the engine starting button here. We have to keep an eye on the oil pressure, so we need to see that the oil pressure comes up and we know that all parts are getting oil. This is the coolant gauge, so ambient temperature is around 20 degrees, and we stop running at a maximum of 100 degrees, otherwise we start to get the pressure relief valve blowing off. The boost, this shows the pressure in the supercharger manifold. Again, really for this engine and ground running, it's not so important. The carburetor here is a Bendix Stromberg twin throat carburetor. This actually was superior to the early SU British carburetors. Didn't suffer from the the cutout in negative G. So I mean that is this is important as well. The earlier engines on the supercharger just blew straight into the intake, but with this two-stage, two-speed supercharger, there's so much compression in the fuel and air mix that it needs cooling down prior to going into the intake manifold, and this is what this does. So this is a radiator matrix in here, and again this was fed from a separate cooling circuit. On this engine it's disconnected because we don't run the superchargers at those kind of pressures and temperatures. So
what can I say? It's absolutely fascinating, and it is, as I said, a work of art, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Cheers.